Hey, Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more relationship stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story, which comes from a throwaway account and asks, am I the a-hole for not giving my sister her wedding dress because she didn't invite my underage son? I, 40 male, have a sister, 30 female, who's getting married in a week. The groom proposed to her a year ago at a family dinner that left everyone speechless, but very happy for them as they are longtime companions. During this dinner, my sister asked my son, 17 male, to make her wedding dress. My son has always loved design and fashion. He took technical courses in these areas and sewing, and even his friends keep asking for his clothes because they are so beautiful. He agreed but said that he needed time and that he would need her opinion constantly. At first, my sister was very annoying. My son drew about 50 dress designs in a month and she only liked one, which he continued with. He sewed it with great quality fabric, which I paid for as I wanted to get involved in a certain way. For 5 months, he made several adjustments to suit her wishes, as she always complained about something. After a while, he arrived at the final model, and it was just amazing. My mother cried seeing my sister in the dress, and I confess that I almost got emotional too. The problem was that last week my son came to talk to me about the wedding invitation that had not arrived for him, but for other family members. I thought that maybe he didn't need one, but it still felt weird. I messaged my sister raising the issue, and she replied that she didn't want any underage people at her wedding because there would be alcohol. I asked if she was going to make an exception for my son, but she cut me off and said no. There are no children in our family. My son is the only minor. So I didn't see any sense in this rule for family members. And to make matters worse, my son was very sad and cried because he spent months on this dress and couldn't go to the wedding. I was very upset and told my sister that she should look for another dress as soon as possible, as she would no longer wear the one my son made. She called and yelled at me, saying I was being unreasonable and that I couldn't do this. My mother called me saying that I should deliver the dress and follow the rules, but I didn't and hung up on her. Because of this, the family is divided. Many agree with me and condemn my sister's action, saying she could only make an exception. But another part says I'm unreasonable and I'm spoiling her big day. I don't think I'm being wrong, but just rational and paying her back in kind. So, am I the a-hole? And a lot of these stories we cover where people don't want to invite children to their wedding, absolutely. I mean, this guy's 17, I don't really consider him as a child, but this is a very unique situation in the fact that he's made the dress and there is no other children attending, so it's like she's singling him out for some reason. And it just left me questioning what that reason is. But yeah, absolutely not the a-hole to me at all in this situation. The audacity of this person. But ResDog says, not the a-hole, he should go and wear the dress. Lowware says not the a-hole. If she is willing to make an adult-sized request of a 17-year-old, she should be willing to accept him as an adult. There is no reason that a minor cannot attend a wedding with an open bar, as every venue I looked at for my wedding and every open bar wedding I've attended has a bartender that checked IDs. Financially Broke Hoot says not the a-hole. He aren't effed around and found out. Shouldn't mess with a dressmaker, but whatever you do, charge her for the dress. It's priceless, sure. The problem is you're setting a precedence to your relatives in place of your son. Now a lot of your relatives are going to expect a free wedding dress because it happened once. Yes, your son is still learning. Yes, you paid for the fabric. It's still worth months of his work, his labor. Whether or not you give the dress to her, charge her, especially since she was difficult to work with. Go to small claims court if you have to, so that your son won't be taken advantage of in the future. Tralana Sakuyu says, not the a-hole, but your sister definitely is. She doesn't want her almost adult nephew who designed and made her a dress at her wedding because there would be alcohol. I can understand if she didn't want to make an exception for a friend or even a cousin, making an exception for her only minor nephew, especially given that she could have pointed him out when people asked about the dress, would have been not only understandable but practically obligatory to anyone hearing about the circumstances. I have to wonder if she was even planning on letting anyone know who was the designer and the tailor of the dress. Can you imagine a family member working on a custom dress for you for months, putting all their effort into it, all their love into it as well, and then not inviting them to your wedding, not honoring them in some way for everything they've done for you. And one more comment from Plano Chubby Boy, who says, take some pictures of the dress and post them on Instagram and Facebook availability to the highest bidder. Make her suffer realizing that someone else will get to wear the gorgeous gown your son designed. Who knows, he might get discovered by YSL or Armani. So then OP updates the post the next day and says, first, I would like to thank all the comments and suggestions. I really didn't expect my post to resonate so much. I talked to my son about the suggestion you guys gave me, and he agreed to sell the dress at market price. He calculated the price of everything and the value was quite high. We sent the proposal to my sister and she hated it. She said she couldn't afford it because it was too expensive and it should be a gift because she is family. I responded by saying that it was too easy to say she was family to get a free dress, but not enough to include my son. She cried on the call and begged me not to ruin her day, but I didn't call because that to me was bullcrap. At no point did she offer to let my son go or apologize for it. And for anyone who said that maybe she's homophobic, I'm not sure, but I think who could be influencing her as a fiance who is a Christian and has never been close to my son. However, I don't care if he's doing it or not. If she wants to exclude my son from this event, then she will also be cutting ties with me. And for those who are asking for a photo of the dress, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but my son didn't agree, and unfortunately I won't post it because of that. If anything else happens, I'll let you know. Until then, thank you all. Someone in the comments says, if you don't mind, how much was the value of the dress? OP says something around 22 to 25k. Mother of He-Man, 25k. Whew-wee. Then OP comes back in with one more update which says, sorry for the delay, but it's been a busy week. Many family members skipped my sister's wedding and decided to have a party at the cousin's house instead of attending the wedding. My sister is obviously very upset and has cut us all off on her social media. She got another dress to get married, but everyone thought it was cheap compared to what she was going to wear. And I would like to inform you that someone already bought the dress that my son made. It was for a good price and it will help him cover his college costs. There's not much to say, but I'd like to make this final point to let you guys know. I was getting very much choosing beggar vibes. I love that subreddit. It's one of my faves. When she was saying, oh, but don't ruin my wedding day. You have to give it to me because family. Oh my word. What do you guys make of this situation? 17 years old and able to make wedding dressing. What amazing skill. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. But let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from Awkward Crow 401, who says, would I be the a-hole if I kept my dad's dog against my girlfriend's wishes? And does come with an update as well. Throw away because a bunch of people I know have my Reddit. I, 32 male, and my girlfriend Ellen, 33 female, have been together for 2 years, 7 months, and have been living in the same, my house for 8 months. The issue in question arose when my dad, 58 male, gave me his dog, Myla, 6 female. She was a rescue, so we don't know her exact age. Before I had even met Ellen, I made a promise with my dad to take Myla in if he couldn't care for her, which is something I discussed with Ellen before she even moved in, and she had no complaints then. My dad fell ill 4 months ago, and I of course took Myla in. He is not getting better, so he asked me to officially adopt her, and I agreed. Ellen was furious that I made this decision without consulting her, despite me having told her about the arrangement in the past. Although I feed, walk, groom, and manage all of Myla's needs, financially and otherwise, Ellen said she had to put her foot down on this issue. I asked Ellen if there was any specific reason she was opposed to us keeping Myla, and she stated the following. She said that since she works from home full time, whereas I'm closer to 50-50, that I can't understand how much having a dog around affects her work. She makes clay art, crockery, that sort of thing. Having a dog is expensive and it will be a drain on our finances, which are not joined, I'll note, and I paid for everything so far. It will make it more difficult for us if we ever want to have a child. Our house is not huge, so it doesn't make sense to have a big dog like Myla. She has friends who have severe dog hair allergies, and she doesn't want them to feel they can't visit anymore. None of her complaints had anything to do with bad behavior. Myla does not jump on people or furniture, bite, bark at visitors. She will follow commands to leave a room if they're given to her, etc. I see that these are reasonable objections to not taking Myla in, but I stayed firm in my position. Ella said that if I loved her, I would make other arrangements, and at this stage I was getting a bit angry, so what I said next may have been a little harsh. I told her love has nothing to do with this. My first responsibilities are my dad and Mila, and nothing you will say will convince me to send her away. If you seriously can't cope with that, you can get out of my home. Ellen burst into tears at this and left to go stay with her mum, citing that I clearly need time to think this over. A bunch of her friends who know me have been telling me that I'm a total a-hole for prioritizing a dog over my girlfriend of nearly 3 years. But my own friends have been telling me to stand my ground. Ellen has been radio silent, has not come home and is not responding to my texts. So I guess I'm looking for some unbiased opinions on the matter. Would I be the a-hole if I kept Mila? And there were some relevant comments that gave some additional information where Opie was replying to people. So Opie started off by saying, I definitely know my words were harsh and that I could have phrased it all better. Ellen means so much to me, but at the same time, I also love my dad, and he is basically the only family I have outside of her. I made a promise to him, and I don't know if I could justify going back on my word. I hope this is something we can work through and we can manage whatever problems Ellen has with Mila. But I'm not giving her away, full stop. So if we can't, as much as it hurts, I'm more than willing to lose Ellen, and I am to betray my dad's trust. And someone accuses Opie of being a misogynist and berates him for making a deal with the dog. Opie says, we've been living with Mila for 4 months, full time as you put it. I sorted all of the arrangements for her feeding, walks, where she sleeps, etc. I've paid for everything so far. I will pay for everything in the future. I have not, nor will I, make Ellen pay for anything for Mila's care, unless she wants to, which is made clear to her given our separate finances. As I mentioned in my post, Mila also follows commands to leave a room. So if there was a problem with Ellen's workspace being intruded upon, which she never mentioned, then that's an easy fix. Ellen is not the only one having to adapt to a new, strange situation. My dad is young enough, he set precautions, but never did I actually expect things would come to what they are now. I was more prepared for this reality than my girlfriend, but before she moved in 8 months ago, I made her aware it was a possibility, and she stated no issues. The way I see it, although it may seem cruel to you, there are no other options to discuss for me. My dad trusted me to keep my end of the promise. I am not giving away the dog he loves. Lastly, I think it's incredibly unfair of you to insinuate I'm a woman-hating misogynist for being angry and saying things I openly regret to my girlfriend in an argument where she presented me with an ultimatum. It is our home, but if she can't respect the fact that I'll be keeping Mila, then clearly it isn't really ours, is it? Opie then gives more additional information on why they're frustrated. Like I said, Mila moved in 4 months ago. Although the arrangement to keep Mila around permanently is new, actually having a dog in the house isn't. Ellen's objections, however, are. I had no idea she didn't like having Mila around, as she never once voiced these opinions to me, nor has she offered me any ways to change the situation to better accommodate her. She has made her thoughts pretty clear. If I love her, I should find Mila a new home. If Ellen had issues, she also had 4 months of living with a dog in our house to bring them up with me. But she didn't. Not until now. And none of her issues are things I can reasonably accommodate. I can't control her friend's allergies or the size of our house or the fact that she works solely from home. What I can do, managing all the dog's needs, is what I have done. I've compromised to the best of my abilities. My girlfriend is not a piece of furniture. Please stop demeaning her or implying that I demean her. If I didn't think she was worthy of respect, I would not be trying to reach out to make amends for treating her harshly. Someone asks, does your girlfriend pay rent? And Opie says, nah, my income is enough to cover mortgage repayments and the bills. They're pretty low though, since we have solar. She usually pays for groceries and gas though. It's not something I'm pressing on. She has a car to pay off and a lower earning job, so I'm happy to carry the extra financial weight. Now, unless I'm missing something here, I feel like Opie went about it the right way in that, but they discussed it before Ellen moved in and she had no complaints then that, you've got a commitment to this dog if your dad ever needs you to. And whilst I understand being given an ultimatum would pee you off, it'd pee me off as well. Maybe the words were a bit harsh and there was maybe a better way to deal with it, but I can understand where you was coming from there. But down in the comments, Grapefruit No says, not the a-hole, you made a commitment to your dad and you are honoring it. She should have some more empathy for the situation. I'd get a new girlfriend before I got rid of the dog. XAS replies to that saying, also, Opie just found out his girlfriend is a manipulative liar. Opie told her about Mila and the commitment he made. Girlfriend lied about being okay with it when she moved in. If she has a problem with it before moving in, that was the time to sort it out. Now she's just pissy her free ride is ending for the house she doesn't pay for. OP, if you're delusional enough to let her change her mind, tell her there will be a prenup with a full asset isolation if you get married. You're rolling into this relationship with a house, she's rolling into it with what? A smile. Her reaction will be super informative for you. Consider yourself lucky you're not married or a parent with her yet. Live Tie says not the a-hole. You clearly communicated the plan prior to her ever moving in. On top of that, does she consider the reason you're taking in the dog, the illness of your father? It's pretty inconsiderate for her to make the situation about her when you're doing a solid for your sick dad. If you already had a dog before she moved in, would she have not moved in? Would she have told you to give up your dog? I don't think so. Apprehensive War says not the a-hole. She knew in advance, but was just hoping it would never happen. The world needs more people like you who place value on keeping your word and knowing the value of an animal. Keep the dog. If you give her now, you'll always be giving in to her, and you'll always regret not keeping the dog. The dog is probably the only thing on earth besides your parents who will love you unconditionally. Carnival says you're in a tough one. I get her being an artist and feeling her work is altered by the dog, but there are simple solutions to this without having to get rid of the dog. Like she can do her work in a room Mila doesn't have access to. She gave you an ultimatum that was not fair. You were honoring a promise that you had before you met Ellen, and she was aware of and agreed to the promise. Now she's complaining. That's on her. Now where things get sticky is where you tell her you prioritize your dad and Mila over your girlfriend. Regardless of who the a-hole is, you're going to want to sort this out with Ellen or prepare to lose your girlfriend over this arrangement. You basically told her straight up, my dad and my dog mean more to me than you do. That's probably why she is so upset. This might be true at your stage of relationship, but sometimes you can be less blunt. That said, you would not be the a-hole for keeping Mila. And let's have one more comment from Ratthink who says, not the a-hole, this is not a new issue. All successful relationships/marriages are based on compromise. You communicated this to her before and she understood. This isn't some random dog. At this point with your father falling ill, it could actually be a therapy dog too when you visit him. Knowing that his dog is being taken care of by his son surely feeds his spirit during this difficult time, and for your girlfriend to use this as a if you love me moment and make you choose, she lost and she should have. And she'll use this line in the future too, which is extremely manipulative. I've been with my husband for close to 24 years, and neither of us has ever said that. If you break now with that line, be ready for her to use it over and over, just to get her way. Then OP updates the post 4 days later and says, I guess it's customary to give an update on these things. And since a few people started following me after my previous post, I figured I ought to finish the story. It's only been a few days, but a lot has happened. Ellen finally agreed to meet up earlier today. Ironically though, people were telling me to break up with her. She beat me to the punch. We talked over coffees for a few hours and what many of you suggested was true. A real reason for not wanting to keep Mila was separate from all the ones she offered me. She said she thinks I've just changed too much since we got her, and when I asked what she meant, she stated that I'm less passionate and engaged with her than before. I don't really know if I can do anything with that, whether it's to do with the stress of my father's condition or not, but she basically said I'm not the person she fell in love with anymore. She's packing up her things even as I type this. It's hard in a way I can't describe, like all of a sudden I'm losing all of the people I love. But I also know that I can't control her decision to leave if that's what she wants. In brighter news, Mila is doing well. Some of you were concerned that Alan might spirit her away, but she's still very much around. I brought her to the hospital park area to see my dad and she was over the moon to be with him again. So I'll probably keep that up as long as he's able. I've also taken up the recommendations to find doggy daycare for the days I'm in the office. I'll start dropping her off there next week, and if all goes well, I'm sure she'll make plenty of friends. There isn't much else to say other than thank you. There's been an enormous amount of love and support coming from this subreddit. People were sending dozens of heartfelt messages. I even had to turn my phone off because of all the notifications were too much of a distraction at work. I wanted to let you know all your kind words mean so much to me, even if I felt a little too awkward to respond to most of the messages. It's a strange and difficult time all around for Mila and I, but we'll try and navigate it the best we can. That's all I suppose. Thank you for your time. And OP gives some dog tags of Mila guarding a ball. Lovely. And that ending hit quite hard for me, I got to say. As you know, I often talk about my father's illness and stuff like that, and we had to make arrangements for Poppy to stay with me, as my dad was no longer able to care for Poppy. I was kind of surprised at Ellen's reaction, saying like you're less passionate and engaged with her before and you've changed. Of course you've bloody changed. Your father's ill. You're dealing with a hell of a lot of emotion right now. Like I said about dealing with my father, I know with his illness, I was dealing with I got so much emotion, and losing my mum and my dad and dealing with all that happened. I know myself, I've changed as a person. Life knocks you for an absolute six sometimes, and of course you're going to change. Life can be an absolute brutal bastard, and of course you're going to change with that. And it just felt like it really wasn't about the dog in the end. It was more about, him changing as a person. And I couldn't help but picture a scenario in my head where, OP, for whatever reason, did rehome the dog. Further down the line, discovers that, OP still hasn't changed because of everything they've been through emotionally, and then eventually leaving him anyway. I know that's a hypothetical there, but that really did wind me up in my head thinking about it. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys, and much love to you, OP, and I really do wish you the best going forward. You deserve it. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.